Hello, this is Dr. Heatland, and we are going to be discussing first inversion chords and their appropriate voice leading today. This is from the Turek McCarthy theory book called Theory for Today's Musician, 3rd edition, chapter 13. So first of all, why would we want to use first inversion chords? And I think we've talked about this a little bit in class. We have a couple of nice things that first inversion chords give us. One of them is we have a little bit more variety than just using root position. It also gives us a much smoother and less jumpy bass line. So instead of the bass line going up, down, up, down, up, down, it can be more melodic, more stepwise. And different inversions give you different weights to choose from. So a root position chord sounds really solid, like an arrival point. But an inverted chord is, it doesn't have that same solid arrival sound. So it could be good for the middle of a phrase. So something it's not an important word if you're setting text, or it's not coming up on a cadence, it's just moving through this chord. Well, in first inversion would be great for that. So the result is we don't have such a thump, 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 thump sound as we're going through it. It's more melodic bass line. So first of all, let's discuss a little bit more about making your bass line less jumpy. Listen to these next two examples. The first one is all in root position and has a pretty jumpy bass line. This second one here uses some inversions, giving us a more melodic bass line that is not so jumpy. Okay, quick historical detour. Here is the person that we can credit or maybe blame for what we're talking about today. His name is Jean-Philippe Rameau. He is a Baroque composer from France. This is a bust of him that I had commissioned shortly after I met him at a conference in Paris in 1730. So he wrote, in 1722, he wrote a treatise on harmony, which of course has a French name that I will not attempt to pronounce because my lowest grades in junior high were always in French class. In his treatise on harmony, he came up with the idea of functional harmony and chord inversions. So prior to his treatise on harmony, the idea of chord inversions didn't really have a lot of traction. Composers thought more in terms of melodic lines that were working together. So it's independent contrapuntal lines or melodies. So as you can see, this whole time, prior to this and even after this, counterpoint is king. How do independent melodies work together? Okay, enough of that historical stuff. Back to brass tacks. Let's talk about the harmonic weight. So listen to these two examples and see where the chord inversions occur. So the chord inversions are a place where it's the middle of a phrase. Okay, now let's talk about how we're going to write this and how we're going to write the doubling for these chords. Actually, I think I've mentioned this before. I'm certain that I've mentioned this before. Guess what? We can be pretty flexible depending on what gives us the best voice leading. Remember, in root position chords, we want to double the bass. In first inversion chords, we often want to double the soprano, sometimes the bass. But it all boils down to what will give you the smoothest voice leading. So prefer to double the soprano, maybe double the bass. Now, there are a couple of extra things to add to our list here. 2 details. Watch out for these situations. Don't double sensitive tones, all right? That leads into the next idea. What about a triad based on T? That would be T, Re, Fa. That's the 7 diminished triad. Well, if we don't want to double sensitive tones, for diminished and augmented triads, we're going to put them in first inversion and then double the bass. Now, I just said that that was less common for first inversion triads, but this is the case where we really do want to double the bass. What that does is it puts Re in the bass and not Fa and not T, both of which are sensitive tones. So we'll have Re in the bass, and then we have a good double tone. How about this? Here's another idea. How about doubling? Can we have the alto note and the tenor note be doubled? So alto and tenor are on the same note, or maybe they're an octave away from each other. This actually does not work out very well at all, because there's not very much room for these inner voices. If they are too far spread out, they will start running into the soprano or the bass. Or if they're on the same note, then we don't have a lot of options for where to go next. It's too easy to write parallel octaves coming out of that doubling. So, therefore, it's better to double the soprano or double the bass. Let's try this. This is Workbook Chapter 13, Exercise 1B. Well, let's try an example here. This is doubling of first inversion triads. We're going to start off by adding a key signature, which is what it's asking us for. So A major, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, F sharp, C sharp. Whoops, wait a minute. Whoa! Don't ask for your money back yet. C sharp, G sharp. Okay. Now, the 2 chord in A major, that's going to be a B minor triad. So we've got, what do we have? B, D, and F sharp. We need the D in the bass. So there's our D in the bass, and a common thing, common doubling for first inversion is we'll have the 3rd in the bass, of course. So the 3rd in the bass, and then either root 5 root or 5 root 5. Well, so what do we got? We have the 3rd. We have the root. Let's go ahead and put the other double here, and we'll put, so we got 5, so no, sorry, root and root. We just need the 5th, which is F sharp. We'll park that right there. Great, that worked out pretty well. Now let's come to this 7 diminished 6 chord. So in B flat major, can you see this? Yes. Okay. In B flat major, our 7 chord is an A diminished triad, and it's got the 3rd in the bass, so that would be A, C. So it's got a C in the bass. We're going to have a C in the bass here. I need a sharper pencil. All right. Now, what is the rule for diminished triads? We're going to usually double the bass. I know that in the case of a major or minor triad, we would ordinarily try to double the soprano. But this is a special case for first inversion diminished. We're going to double the bass because that means we're not doubling T, for instance, and we're not doubling Fa. Well, let's see, where would be a good place to put this? We have a C. Let's put another C right here. We need A, C, and E flat. Got the C, the E flat, here's our A. This is one possibility. What if we did it the same way, but did, let's put the C here in the alto, and put the A right here in the tenor. Oh, wait, that won't work. Look, we have much too large of a gap between the alto and the tenor, so let's not do that. Let's try this one down here, number 8. Number 8, this is in the key of E minor. This is leading tone diminished 6. So in E minor, what's our key signature? We have F sharp, just F sharp, just F sharp. In E minor, our leading tone is actually D sharp diminished. Ooh, let's keep this in mind. D sharp diminished. And what's going to be what's the third of that chord? D sharp, F sharp, and A. So an F sharp's in the bass. So let's put that F sharp in. Well, let's put it right here. And usually what we want to do, or what we always want to do in the case of a diminished triad, let's double that bass. So F sharp, let's put it right here in the alto. So we got D sharp, F sharp, and A. I just need a D sharp. Let's put that in right here. Great. I'm going to go sharpen my pencil and then we can continue. Now let's discuss some good voice leading practices. Now I think you can come up with this list yourself because we've discussed this many times already in class and it's kind of the same idea. So let's go through this fairly quickly. Retain common tones if possible. What if it's not possible? Well, you're thinking to yourself, move soprano, alto, tenor, contrary to the bass. You were thinking that, weren't you? Yes, I'm sure you were. Favor steps over leaps. A lot of the problems that people get into when they are part writing is they have too many leaps, and that results in parallel fifths, parallel octaves, or leaps of an augmented second or leaps of an augmented fourth. Favor steps over leaps. Don't write voice crossings, which happen within a chord, where the tenor goes higher than the alto or something like that, or voice overlaps, where one voice goes below or above where another voice was previously. And of course, no parallel unisons, octaves, or fifths. Hopefully this is the list you were expecting. 2 more ideas with regards to first inversion triads. Since we're using this as a way of getting a smoother bass line, let's step into and step away from the bass note of an inverted chord. Well, that'll give you a more melodic stepwise motion. Also, when you're looking at your doubled tones, whatever happens to be doubled, maybe soprano is doubled with tenor, or alto is perhaps doubled with bass, move into and away from those doubled tones with contrary or at least oblique motion. This will help you avoid those nasty parallels that get red ink or blue ink all over your homework. Better counterpoint, which is why you signed up for this. Okay, let's try some. Chapter 13 in the workbook, exercise 1C. Here we are, chapter 13, workbook 1C. Let's do number 1. So we're going from a 1 chord to a 5/6 chord in C. So let's see, this would be a C major triad, and this would be a G major triad with the third in the bass, which is a B. So let's see about this. Let's write down what we know for sure. We have a C here, and that B in the bass could go right here. Caution! this B is the leading tone in this key, right? Let's not double this. Let's be sure to not double the B. So I need a G, a B, and a D. We could do two Gs and a D, or two Ds and a G. Let's try, well, let's voice this one first. This is fairly far apart, right? Let's go open position. Let's try open position. So C, E, C, E, G. Let's double the bass, which is the root of that chord. It's also Do. Nice thing to double. Okay, get my stems in here. Notice which way the stems are going. Okay, so let's go to the G with a B in the bass. Watch this. If I put this here, look, I've doubled the leading tone, and ooh, I've got parallel octaves. That's why they make large pink erasers. Let's try this again. Actually, what would probably be a good idea is I need G, B, and D. I need two G's and a D, or maybe two D's and a G. Let's take this up to a D. That's right there. That's a D. I've got a G right here. That's a common tone. Let's keep that. And what do we have? G, B, D. Let's not double this. Let's double right here, because these are an octave right here. That'd be stepwise, an octave between the tenor and the soprano. That works out pretty well. Now, do we have any problems with parallels? Let's see. Well, this is staying the same. That's the only voice that's staying the same. That's not going to create a problem with parallels. These two are moving in contrary motion. That's great. Who's moving in parallel motion? Well, I guess the soprano is moving in parallel motion with the bass. However, C to E, that's a third. B to D, that's a third. So we're good. Let's come over here and try number 5. Move over here. Okay, here's number 5. Let's see. We have a diminished triad in E minor. Diminished triad in first inversion. So this chord is, let's see, E, it's an F sharp diminished. F sharp diminished. In first inversion, let's see, that's F sharp, A sharp, C. So we got, F sharp, A, C. We have to have this A in the bass. Let's put the A in the bass right here. And let's double that. Oh, good. Hey, there we go. We're already there. We need an F sharp and a C. Well, I could pretty easily go like this. F sharp and a C. Now you might say, well, what if I wanted to do it the other way around? That's also possible with these inner voices. It kind of depends on what comes next. If the spacing that you've chosen for this one, for this first chord, causes you problems with the second chord, you can try flip-flopping them, and that might help. All right, in the key of E minor, the 5 chord is B, but it is B major. So that would be B, what's the third? The third is going to be D sharp. Let's keep that in mind. B, D sharp, F sharp. Hey, there's an F sharp already, actually. I just happened to notice that. Let's see if leaving that will work out okay. I need a B in the bass because it's in root position. All right, B. Let's look at this. We have one common tone. Maybe get some contrary motion happening. B, D sharp. Let's see, and F sharp. What do we want to double here? Probably the B. Well, let's see what happens if we double the B, because that's the bass, it's root position. We're moving into that like so. And then I just need a D sharp. So I will go like that. Let's see, A up to a D sharp, that looks like an augmented fourth. let's not do that. Hold on. Wait a minute, I don't want to have a melodic leap of an augmented fourth. Let's try our doubling a different way, or let's set this out a different way. How about we go A to B here? Yeah, that looks good. Then I've got A to B there. No, that's no good either. Look, I just created parallel octaves between my soprano and bass. What else could we do? Well, if the soprano is not going to go to a B, and it's not going to go to a D sharp, it is going to go, definitely, to the only other possibility, to an F sharp. So there, my soprano is there on F sharp. D sharp. I do need a D sharp in here somewhere. Remember, D sharp is the leading tone. Let's only have one voice play that. What we could do, let's see, we could go C up to D sharp. Wait a minute. C up to D sharp, that is an augmented second. C up to D sharp, that's an augmented second. Man, we're really not having much luck here. Okay, so let's not take that to D sharp. Well, what's the next one that we can go down to? B would be a good place to go. So now I've got B, and let's put a D sharp in the alto. What's going on here? All right. Oh, now we have some parallel motion. Of course, parallel thirds are desirable. Parallel fourths are acceptable. I have tenor stepping down, alto skipping down. So that's not a parallel issue. Alto and soprano are skipping down by thirds. So here we have contrary motion contrary motion between the bass and the other three voices, and that worked out. And we tried a couple of different ways of putting this out, but we ended up getting augmented seconds and augmented fourths when we were trying to leap into this D sharp from the soprano and the tenor voices, so it has to go in the alto. Let's try one more. Number 6 right here. Okay. Well, we have a 4/6 chord. We're in the key of F. The 4 chord is B flat. The 5 chord is going to be C. There will be no common tones. So B flat, we got a D in the bass, and an E in the bass for this one because they're both in first inversion. So B flat over D, C over E. Looks like a recipe for parallel motion if I'm not careful. So I've got a D. Let's try a B flat here and an F here. That could be possible. All right, now we need to go C with an E in the bass. Now our preferred doubling is soprano, I guess. So I'm looking for, I've got the E already, I'm looking for either C, C, and G, or G, G, and C. So remember, that is this kind of preferred doubling. Root, 5 root in the upper voices, or 5 root 5 in the upper voices. So, well, let's see. I've got the E. We could move this B flat up to the C. That's possible. No problems with parallels there. That would be parallel thirds with the bass. Okay, maybe. I don't know if that's the greatest idea, though, because we want to maybe move down. Hey, let's try that. Let's try moving down first. So G down to the, or B flat down to G, because that'll give us contrary motion against the bass. Always a good idea. I need an E and a C and or sorry, I need a C and a G. So what we could do is we could come up here and skip this down to the G, maybe. Wait a minute, that's what I just did in the soprano. That's no good. Let's go up to a C. Some of you are way ahead of me screaming, "Oh, don't do that!" Parallel octaves. Well, what else do we have here? We have our choice of giving the alto a G, which would be fine. Actually, I think that's what I'd like to do. Giving the alto a G in unison with the soprano, or skipping the alto down to this middle C and being in unison with the tenor. What I would prefer to do is I'm going to have her step up to the G. And this is why. This gives us a typical doubling, 1 root, 2/5, and not doubling this bass note. So our soprano is doubled, which is what we usually prefer. Another thing is if I have the alto doubling, jumping down here to double the tenor, when I have the alto and tenor doubled, it doesn't give me nearly as much wiggle room for moving on to my next chord. So that's not a preferred doubling. Your homework will be on the next page, 1E. This is chapter 13, 1E. I'll just have you do the J.S. Bach example. Let's use this voicing to begin with. So we have an A in the bass, C in the tenor, F in the alto, F in the soprano. Somebody went through and covered up the rest of the answers for this, but I'm sure you'll be able to get the rest of this yourself. And go ahead and use the instructions here, using the framework provided. Add alto and tenor voices. All right. Your assignment is chapter 13. I believe it's page 145, maybe it's page 143, but either way, it's 1E, just the Bach example. Let's use A, C, F, F as the first chord voicing. And if you have any questions, please post them onto our homework document in OneDrive, and then I can answer them for everybody. Good luck, and I will see you again soon.